What is going on, Arizona sports fan family? How are we doing out here today on this Tuesday evening, ladies and gentlemen? Big shout out to the people that are currently in the chat. We got over 120 people up in the house right now. Appreciate you guys for rocking with me. This video is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and download the app. Use promo code AZSF, and they will go ahead and match your deposit up to $100. Just FYI, if you want to go ahead and have a little bit more enticement, try to win some money, go ahead and download Underdog Fantasy. And also, definitely subscribe it up. Become a member of the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube. Smack the like button, and obviously on the road to 12K, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get this show started. Yo, we got a lot to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen. We have a lot to talk about. And in this chat here that we have here on YouTube, we already have a lot of misinformation out there. So I'm going to go ahead and do my best to clarify this as much as I possibly can to kind of let you guys know what happened right now. Obviously, if you guys haven't already read the title, the Arizona Cardinals missed out in Sean Payton. He's no longer an option because the Broncos ended up swiping him away from the Arizona Cardinals. Now, this isn't the first time the Broncos has done this to the Arizona Cardinals. This isn't the first time. If you have been a long-term Arizona Cardinal fan, you know that Peyton Manning was rumored to come to the Arizona Cardinals, or at least, there was interest. Who ended up taking them away? The darn Denver Broncos again. So they are currently on my SHIT list right now. I can't stand the Broncos. So let's dive right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Today we got some big breaking news, and two coaches went off the board. We got DeMeco Ryans ended up going to the Texans, or at least it's hinted to the fact that it's going to be very, very possible that DeMeco Ryans is going to the Texans. It almost seems like a shoo-in at this very moment, right? They're just trying to get everything up and going, but that's what the breaking news is, that the Texans will have DeMeco Ryans as the next head coach heading into the 2023 season. Now, to me, I think the DeMeco Ryans saga or storyline, to me, that already ended about a week ago. The moment he canceled with us, it almost kind of seemed obvious that he already had a position available for himself and whatever, right? We're not here to talk about DeMeco Ryans. We're here to talk about this breaking news. And ladies and gentlemen, it was a bombshell of a breaking news that ended up happening. And of course, like we talked about earlier, it was a complete gut punch right to the stomach, right? Something that will completely take the wind out of your sails. And this is what the breaking news said. So this is from Adam Schefter. It says, breaking: Saints and the Broncos are finalizing compensation in return for Super Bowl winning head coach Sean Payton, sources tell ESPN. This clears the way for Payton to sign with the Broncos to become Denver's next head coach. And so Payton is expected to head to Denver as its next head coach. Oh my goodness. Now, if you guys want draft compensation, this is the draft compensation. They didn't get rid of 2 first-round picks. Just FYI, ladies and gentlemen, they did not get rid of 2 first-round picks. This is what the compensation was that ended up happening. So it said the Denver Broncos gave up their first-round pick, which it was a late first-round pick. It was, I think it was at 29 or number 30th. It's a late first-round pick. So it's not even like it's a mid first-round pick or an early first-round pick. It's a late first-round pick that they gave up. And on top of that, next year's second-round pick. And on top of that, okay, let's do this again. So Denver gave up a first-round pick this year and next year's second-round pick. That's what they gave up. The Broncos received Sean Payton and a third-round pick, ladies and gentlemen, a third-round pick. Oh my God, the frustration level as an Arizona Cardinal fan right now. Now, this isn't a lot, right? This isn't a lot. I know the rumor was out there saying that, the Saints want to get, 2 first-round picks. This isn't 2 first-round picks, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't 2 first-round picks at all. The Arizona Cardinals' second-round pick is about, 5 to 6 picks away from their first-round pick. Like, this was something that could have happened. This is something that definitely could have happened for the Arizona Cardinals, and somehow we ended up just kind of not getting it done, right? Now, like I said a little earlier, this definitely feels like a blow to the stomach. Right now, we're going to, persevere on. We're going to continue to fight through and hopefully pray that the next head coach that we bring in for the Arizona Cardinals will meet a standard that won't be a 3 to 4 win season next year, right? We want something better as Arizona Cardinal fans, but the Broncos didn't get 2 first-round picks. They got a first-round pick this year, and then on top of that, they got a second-round pick next year. And I still do think that the Arizona Cardinals could have possibly done something if we wanted to go with it. And it didn't happen. It just reminds me of Sean Payton. I'm sorry, not Sean Payton. It reminds me of Peyton Manning. And it's really frustrating to see. Now, like I said, I mean, I just need some time to digest this. I think I need a full day to really kind of get over this hurt that I'm feeling right now, right, as an Arizona Cardinal fan. And this is one of the main reasons why I didn't want to go live like right when this breaking news happened, because I needed some time to decompress, because this felt so real for Arizona Cardinal fans to possibly get a Sean Payton. And of course, the Broncos do it to us again. And they end up going and getting Sean Payton for a first round this year and a second round next year, which I still think it's just possible. This is something the Arizona Cardinals could have done, right? Now, did Sean Payton choose, right, the Broncos because the Wally World money was going to give him more money per year? Maybe, right? We might have been behind an 8 ball in this situation, but let me get to these 2 contributions here real quick. I appreciate you guys. We got Han says the Cards used as a leverage pasty again. Dude, it feels like it. It truly does. It absolutely does. And it's very frustrating, honestly. As an Arizona Cardinal fan, it really is very, very frustrating because we had it right there in our hands. We had it. And just as wise words from, Shia LaBeouf, you just got to do it. You just got to do it. He was here. He was in our hands. 7 hours he spent in the building with Michael Bidwill. 7 hours. Michael Bidwill bought him lunch. Michael Bidwill drove away in the car with Sean Payton. It almost seemed like a storybook ending for the Arizona Cardinals to possibly bring him in. And of course, we fall flat again, ladies and gentlemen. We fall flat, and we just have to be as positive, I guess, right? Be as positive as we possibly can be, because it's just one of those things that, like, nothing good happens for the Arizona Cardinals at all. And I think I should have tempered my expectations, right? I definitely should have tempered my expectations, and I think that's on me. But this is definitely a tweet that I want to make sure I put out here, and I want to get your guys' opinion on this here. This is a tweet that I ended up putting out about 2 hours ago. I said, you spent 7 hours with him, bought him lunch, and let him in your car. Michael Bidwill, you tease. You absolute tease. Oh, my God. The frustration level as an Arizona Cardinal fan, I don't think you guys completely 100% understand what I'm going through right now. So let me get to these contributions. We got my guy Zach says, Rich Basahia or Leslie Frazier. I don't think any of these guys are even in the running right now. I don't know, man. I don't think they're even in the running, to be honest with you. What's up, Jason? He says, is it worth the third pick on? Here's the thing. It wasn't even a third pick. I don't know where everybody's getting this mindset that we're going to give up our third overall pick. Ladies and gentlemen, for the 240 people in the chat here right now, the third overall pick was never in contention for us to give away. Never in contention for us to give away. Ever. It wasn't. The third overall pick, which is our first round pick, was never in contention for the Arizona Cardinals to give away. Ever. For the people in the back. Ever. The first round pick from the Broncos was sitting at the number 29th or the 30th overall. That's what that pick was at. Our second round pick is number 34 and number 35. It's about 6 picks away. It's 6 picks away. If the Arizona Cardinals did a second round this year, a second round next year, and maybe entice them with something a little bit more, throwing them a fourth rounder or not taking that third round pick back, this could have been done. This definitely could have been done. Right? At least the way I like to look at it, because the first round pick from the Broncos was at number 29th or the 30th overall. That's what their first round pick is. There's no way that the Arizona Cardinals are going to give up the third overall. It was never in contention. So for the people saying, oh, I'm not going to give up it was never even the talks. It was never in the talks. Our second round pick was as good as their first round pick. We could have done that. We could have given up a second next year, and we wouldn't have taken that third round back, right? That's what I thought would be plausible for the Arizona Cardinals. That's how I would have rationalized this trade if it were to go down, right? Like, I'm putting on my GM hat, and I think that if you think of this compensation as an Arizona Cardinal fan, me giving you my second round pick, a second round pick next year, and not taking that third round pick back, I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's a no-brainer. The Cardinals could have been in contention. The Cardinals could have been in contention. It's just why we didn't do it is beyond me, right? Now, maybe he did want to go to the Broncos, right? Maybe he did. Now, we're never going to know, right? As Cardinal fans, the media, we're never going to know, right? How can we possibly compete with Wally World money, right? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, that means Walmart money, right? How can we possibly compete with Walmart money? So, like, that's the frustrating part, right? I know the asking per year, what Sean Payton wanted was 20 to 25 million per year. And a lot of fans were like, well, I'm not going to pay him that. Well, yeah, newsflash, you don't have to pay him that, right? Michael Bidwell will be the one paying him. But this could be very well possible. Like, this 2 first-round picks that we were hearing, it didn't come to fruition. It didn't. It took a first-round pick, which was sitting at number 29 or number 30th in this year's draft, and a second-round pick next year. And on top of that, the Saints gave the Broncos a third-round pick. Like, this could have been done. This could have been done. What's up, Jason? Mike, the Saints asking price was ridiculous. Honestly, with what he was given, I don't think it was too ridiculous, to be honest with you. If you're listening, if you're hearing into like the national media pertaining to what's, in terms of 2 first-round picks, yes, that's ridiculous. Yes, that's ridiculous. I agree. But what he actually went for, I don't think it was ridiculous. I don't. I think we could have given up a second round this year and a second round next year. I think it's plausible. I think it's something, if you want to get a Super Bowl winning head coach, that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do, right? And obviously, the Arizona Cardinals weren't in the running here. What's up, Jason? He says, I wanted Peyton, but I'll take Flores or others. Well, I mean, that's our options now, right? I mean, that's our options. We don't really have anything else to say, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where if it didn't fall our way, then this is what we're going to accept, right? But like, let's be honest, none of these guys that we're talking about where's our first option as Cardinal fans. We're going to accept it because that's what we have laid out in front of us. That's what we're going to accept because we're Cardinal fans. But like, they were not our first choice. Like, let's put that out clear right now. And I know there's a lot of Cardinal fans that are like, okay, well, I will accept this and I'll accept that. Well, yeah, of course. Well, now we have to accept it. Now we have to accept it because we weren't willing to play hardball with the Saints. And now we're sitting here. What's up, No F's Given? He says the Saints didn't want to see Sean in the NFC. Possibly. I mean, it's all hearsay at this very moment, right? RV Davey, what's up, brother? He says we were played by the Peyton Saints free. Yes, I agree with this for sure. I agree with this. It is what it is at this very moment, right? It is what it is at this very moment. We don't have him. We're not in contention to get him. He's already gone with the Broncos. I think it could have been done. It's just it wasn't done, right? Breaking news. Sean Payton is now a member of the Broncos, and now we're going to watch the Broncos very, very closely, just like we watched the Broncos very, very closely with them getting Peyton Manning and then winning a Super Bowl, and us always having to be what if, right? We always have to live in those scenarios of what if, because we just never can get the job done. We can never close. We can never get what we want, right? And obviously Sean Payton or Michael Bidwell and the Cardinals wanted Sean Payton. It's just we didn't want to pay that much, I guess. What's up, Tigo? He says, I didn't want to give up a first. I didn't want to give up 1 second for Peyton. Okay, well, I mean, let's be honest here, right? I think at this very moment, I think it's hindsight, right? I think it's hindsight. If the Arizona Cardinals traded a second-round pick and then a second-round pick next year, and this breaking news was for the Arizona Cardinals, I think a lot of Cardinal fans would have had a completely different tune. And I think it's a defense mechanism that people are putting on right now, saying that, oh, I didn't want him anyways. Okay, cool. All right, no worries. I wanted him, truly. And we're going to keep our eyes peeled, and we're going to try to see what happens with the Broncos. If they fail and if they don't go anywhere, then good, great, right? But if they go to the Super Bowl, if they make any playoff pushes or playoff runs, then we're always going to be that team that coulda, shoulda, woulda, maybe, never, always the bridesmaid, but never the bride type of organization. And I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. I truly am. But let's continue to talk about the next, a possibility of coaches for the Arizona Cardinals that we can possibly bring in, right? We did have some interviews today. A couple, let me get to this contribution here real quick. What's up, RV Davey? Why not go after Harbaugh now? Well, Harbaugh actually he declined the Broncos again. If you guys don't know, the Broncos were really trying to go after Harbaugh They declined him again, and the Broncos tried to go after D'Amico Ryans, and they declined him because he's going to the Texans. And essentially, Sean Payton was the Broncos' third option. Yeah, believe it or not, Sean Payton was the third option for the Broncos. They got declined by Harbaugh twice. They got declined by D'Amico Ryans, and Sean Payton was basically what ended up, falling to them at this very moment. So, I mean, it is what it is. All right, let's talk about something different, right? Let's get our mind off of Sean Payton. My head is starting to spin already. So let's talk about what is happening for the Arizona Cardinals and who can potentially be the Arizona Cardinals head coach moving into the 2023 season. Now, there was some interviews that happened today, or at least one interview that happened today. That is the offensive coordinator for the defensive coordinator for the Giants, and that is Mike Kafka. If you like him, cool. If you don't like him, cool, right? But I know that a lot of good points that a lot of people like to talk about with Kafka is that he spent some time, obviously, with Daniel Jones, making him better, along with Brian Dable. He also spent some time with Patrick Mahomes. And, of course, a lot of people like to kind of, connect the dots whenever anybody is, close to anybody. They like to kind of be like, oh, this guy is, this guy spent some time with this person, right? So there's Mike Kafka. He's interviewed today. Now we do have 2 interviews that are happening within the next couple days, and I believe I don't remember if it's Lou Anarumo first or Brian Callahan, or if it's Brian Callahan or Lou Anarumo, but there is back-to-back interviews for the Arizona Cardinals, and that is going to take place on Wednesday and Thursday. And Lou Anarumo is going to be the defensive coordinator from the Bengals, and the offensive coordinator for the Bengals is Brian Callahan. So we got some new people to kind of obviously talk about. Now, we did make a video, was it about a couple days ago when we first heard the news of Lou Anarumo as well as Brian Callahan. So those are next people that we're kind of putting out there for possibilities for the Arizona Cardinals to possibly go after, right? Let me get to this contribution. He says, I guess it probably came down to the QB position. Probably, right? Yeah, I mean, we don't 100% know, right? We truly don't. We're just kind of, we're just going to live in a shoulda, coulda, woulda type of scenario because that's kind of where we're at. So here are the people that we're dealing with right now, right? We got a Giro Viro, Aaron Glenn, Jonathan Gannon, Brian Flores, which I know I already seen some people in the chat saying Brian Flores. And if he becomes the coach, cool, like I guess, right? We'll see what happens. And then we also got Vance Joseph, Lou Anarumo, and then Brian Callahan. Now, out of that list, Brian Callahan is the only offensive-minded coach. I'm just kind of throwing that out there. Now, there was a rumor and speculation that came out, I believe it was over the weekend, saying that Eric Bieniemy is thinking about going to a brand new team. Now, I think that a lot of people look at Eric Bieniemy, and if you don't know who he is, he's the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs and has been the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs for quite some time. And one of the big things that's been going on with Eric Bieniemy is the fact that a lot of people don't believe that he is truly a offensive-minded genius, that it's all coming from Andy Reid. So there was a report that came out over the weekend saying that we might see Eric Bieniemy leave the Chiefs and find himself in another team. Now, if we somehow get a defensive-minded head coach, which, like I said, as long as they have leadership skills, that's what I'm looking for, right? As an Arizona Cardinal fan, I want to have a head coach be a leader of men. That's what I'm looking for. In the beginning of the head coaching search, I did say I want an offensive-minded head coach. My mind has shifted. My mind has pivoted over to something different. Now my mind is, as long as he is a leader of men, or somebody that's able to change a culture, that's what I'm looking for. So let's say, for example, we did bring in a Lou Anarumo, right? Now he is the defensive coordinator for the Bengals right now. Now Louis Riddick came out and gave very, very glowing high praises for Lou Anarumo, and it's a surprise that nobody has reached out to him yet other than the Cardinals. Let's say we live in a world where we get Lou Anarumo as our head coach and we get Eric Bieniemy as our offensive coordinator. Hey, I think that's pretty good, right? I think that's pretty good. Now, things don't work out to the favor of the Arizona Cardinals ever, right? But I think that that's actually kind of a match made in heaven. Now, I understand that out of these head coaches or potential head coaches, there's only one person out of this list that has head coaching experience, right? And that scares me. That worries me. The only one who has had head coaching experience is Brian Flores. Now, I don't want to put my eggs in that basket, right? Being like, oh, well, Brian Flores has to be it, right? Brian Flores has to be it. No, I'm glad the Arizona Cardinals are trying to cast a wide net out there, because I don't want to go with Brian Flores just out of default. Let's listen to what Lou Anarumo has to say, and Brian Callahan. I apologize. Vance Joseph was also a previous head coach as well with the Broncos. I apologize. I always forget about VJ. I always forget about him. But yeah, there's two people out of this list that were former head coaches, Brian Flores and Vance Joseph, just to kind of correct myself. What's up, BBH? He said Flores or Bengals offensive coordinator or El Cardinal coaching moves. To be honest with you, so you're saying the offensive coordinator for the Bengals, so you're saying Brian Callahan? Well, to me, I think Lou Anarumo or Brian Callahan would be pretty interesting, right? I don't really have a favorite. I guess if I were to have some sort of favorite, I would lean towards Lou Anarumo, just because of what we've been hearing recently from, Louis Riddick, that came out and said that, like, very, very high praises about Lou Anarumo, which is the defensive coordinator for the Bengals. But I mean, if we bring in a Brian Callahan, it's going to feel like a lot of people don't want it to feel, right? With that whole situation of he's never been a coach, right? This guy's never been a coach, and we're going to do something like that. I don't want to admit to myself that this might be a ugly season coming around, right? I don't want to admit to myself, but we'll have to wait and see how this free agency comes out, and let's see if our defense can take a next step. Because I think that's one thing that I'm really, really curious to kind of look at, to figure out, like, what is going to be the Arizona Cardinals heading into the 2023 season. Like, that's one thing that I'm very, very excited about. So we'll have to kind of wait and see how that shakes out. Who's your guys' favorite at this very moment? Who's your guys' favorite? Now, I'm going to talk about Lou Anarumo real quick while I, get your guys' favorite in the chat. Now, one thing that I do want to mention as well is that Lou Anarumo did a very good job defensively against the Bills. No, not the Bills. I'm sorry. Against the Ravens, did a very good job. And then also with the Bills as well. Yeah, I apologize, the Bills. During that divisional round, when they played against the Bills, he did a very good job against them. So that gives me a little bit of excitement, right? To see if our defense can actually get to the next level, because we got some young talent, right? We got some young pieces on the defensive side of the ball. We just need to make sure that we put it all together. And if we can somehow see a defense like we saw in that divisional round versus the Bills, I think that would be kind of a match made in heaven. And if we can get an Eric Bieniemy to be an offensive coordinator, woo, that would be cool. I honestly think that would be pretty cool. I do see some people in the chat. We got Flores. We got somebody saying Harbaugh. We got somebody say Bieniemy, Anarumo. Somebody says Mike Zimmer. Okay, Rex Ryan. Oh my God, now you guys getting wild. Now you guys getting wild in the chat here. I guess there's a reason why I only focus on super chats, because this chat gets a little wild sometimes. For me, Ejiro. So here's the list of people that we haven't really heard very much about, right? Ejiro Evero, Aaron Glenn, Jonathan Gannon, and Vance Joseph, right? We haven't really heard very much about them, and I mean a second interview. We haven't really heard very much about them. Now, Brian Flores, I think they know what they're going to get in a Brian Flores, so he's still kind of in contention for a couple different reasons, at least for me. A couple different reasons why I think Brian Flores is still in contention. One is because he was a head coach before, right? Two, he brings that no BS mentality. He brings in that I don't know, just a different culture is what Brian Flores would bring. What I'm a little worried about Brian Flores is the fact that he might really beat the crap out of Kyler Murray. Like, if Kyler Murray tries to talk back to Brian Flores, I think there'll be a clipboard getting thrown on the other side of the corner. So I truly hope that Kyler Murray doesn't treat every adult like he's treated Cliff Kingsbury. I truly don't. I don't want to see that anymore. I truly don't. I want to see Kyler Murray and the next head coach have a match made in heaven and everything riding off into the sunset, right? Because we all know that this next year is going to be very, very telling for the Arizona Cardinals. And not just the Cardinals, for Kyler Murray. There's 30% right now. 25 to 30% right now has given up on Kyler Murray. If he comes back next year and continues to regress, that 30% is going to go to 50%. I promise you. I promise you. So this is a huge year. This is a huge, huge year coming into this year for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I have faith. I have hope that Kyler Murray can get back into the MVP type of level. It's just we're going to have to wait to see how it all shakes out, right? So let me get to this contribution here real quick. What's up, AZ fan? He says, Broncos strike again. I feel either Flores with his leadership or Steichen as our head coach. We didn't lose any picks, which is good. Draft Duggan in the 5th round. I mean, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Honestly, I think this is definitely a deal that could have been done. And I know right now we're all kind of feeling some sort of way, like we're feeling a little like defensively, right? And I know there is some Cardinal fans out there that are like, well, I called this to begin with, right? Like they have so much pride about calling the fact that the Arizona Cardinals didn't land the only Super Bowl winning head coach that we've seen hit free agency or a possible trade in quite some time, right? We haven't seen a head coach come about like that, right? Just like, woo, he's available. Come get him, right? We haven't seen that in a very, very long time. So there's a lot of Cardinal fans out there that are very, very on their high horse and excited that they predicted that the Cardinals couldn't land a Super Bowl head coach. I guess I'll give you a golf clap, right? If that's what you want, here's a cookie. I'll give you a golf clap. But I mean, realistically, this feels like Peyton Manning to me. This is what it feels like. I'm going to be following the Broncos very, very closely with Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. And if they somehow produce to a level of excellence, greatness, goodness, oh my God, I'm going to be upset. Let me tell you that right now. I'm going to be pretty upset. Because in the grand scheme of things, yes, they have gave up a lot of picks. And I'm not talking about for Sean Payton himself. I'm talking about Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. Like what the Broncos have given up for those two transactions is wild. Is wild. They literally said F them picks. That's what they said. They said F them picks. The Broncos are going all in. And however they're going to do it, I mean, whether they succeed or they don't succeed, they're going out with the haymaker. Let's just put it that way. They're going out with a haymaker. And I think right now the Arizona Cardinals are going through obvious rebuilding mode, right? And I know some people would say this is retooling. I don't know. This feels a little bit more like rebuilding, right? This feels a little bit more like rebuilding. And we're such in a weird situation because we have our franchise quarterback, right? Or at least 70% of the fan base thinks we have our franchise quarterback in Kyler Murray, right? We have our quarterback. It's just he's not going to be back until October. And we don't exactly 100% know, right? There was that report that came out from Ian Rappaport, and he ended up saying the fact that he might not be back until he's 100%, right? And is that going to be beginning October, mid-October, late October? So it can very well be midway into the season, right? Where we only have a certain number of games left. And obviously those games are going to be very crucial for Kyler Murray to win very important games. So it's going to be a tall task. Let's just put it that way. It's going to be a very, 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 very tall task for the Arizona Cardinals to try to be in contention. So we'll see. So let's take a look here. Just to recap here, ladies and gentlemen, I know we got some new people coming in here. If you guys haven't done so already, definitely do me a huge favor. Smack the like button and subscribe. We're on the road to 12K, ladies and gentlemen, and I can't do it without you guys. Subscribe it up. Become a member of the Arizona Sports Fan here on YouTube. We are just trying to keep growing as much as we possibly can. Subscribe it up. It's free. It's just that little red button. Click it and obviously smack the like button and join the community. But let's go ahead and do another real quick recap for the new people that has come in. Breaking news did hit the world of the Arizona Cardinals. Two of them actually did. One of them is that DeMeco Ryans and the Texans most likely will be, DeMeco Ryans is going to be the next head coach of the Texans. It's what it is, right? But that doesn't really affect us too much because I thought that DeMeco Ryans already sailed the moment he canceled on us. But this is the one that really affects Cardinal fans right here, is that the Saints and the Broncos are finalizing compensation in return for Super Bowl winning head coach Sean Payton. Sources tell ESPN. This clears the way for Payton to sign with the Broncos to become Denver's next head coach. And this is the details in terms of what was actually given away. The Denver Broncos received a first-round pick, which was a late first-round pick, and then a second round next year's pick. So a second-round pick next year. And then the Broncos received Sean Payton and then a third round 2024 pick. So that's kind of what we're talking about for the most part, right? We're also talking about who's still available for the Arizona Cardinals, because as of right now, we got two teams now still looking for a head coach. We got the Colts. We got the Colts available, and then we got the Arizona Cardinals available. I didn't think the Arizona Cardinals are going to wait this long, right? I talked about it in a few of our streams that I'm like, ooh, the Arizona Cardinals, I get that they want to do their due diligence, right? But like the top head coaches that were seen to be as very, very good head coaches, right? Like your DeMeco Ryans, your Sean Payton, your Frank Reich, they're gone, right? They're gone now. So now we have two teams that are looking for a head coach, and that's going to be the Colts and the Arizona Cardinals. So we're finding ourselves late to the party again, right? We're finding ourselves late to the dance again, right? As Arizona Cardinal fans, it sucks, but it's a harsh reality. What's up, AZ fan? He says, in your opinion, Mike, who would be the best fit as our head coach? And do we go after QB in free agency to play in place for Kyler, or do we draft one? Honestly, as head coach, looking at the list and who we have right now, in the beginning of this head coaching search, I wanted to get an offensive-minded head coach. That was what my heart was set on. That's what I would love, right? Now, none of these people are people that I wanted to begin with. If we could still continue to bring in people, like let's say, for example, Shane Steichen, right? If we could somehow bring him in, I would love that, right? I don't think Ken Dorsey is going to have an option. I truly don't. I think he's going to be, selling and staying with the Bills. But if we could somehow bring in a Shane Steichen, that mentality of what they're dealing with over there in the Philadelphia Eagles, just to hear him out, just to hear what he has to say, I would love that. Now, if he doesn't come in and he doesn't, give us an opportunity, or the Cardinals don't want him, okay. What I would want out of these list of people, I would actually want Lou Anarumo. I want Lou Anarumo, or I don't want to say Brian Flores. Like I would want him there. I'm just worried about that dynamic between Kyler and Brian Flores. I'm worried about that dynamic. So if I would have to pick one out of this list, I would say Lou Anarumo is the coach that I want. Is that who I want? And then the second question you have is, do we get a free agency QB or draft one? Honestly, I think we should put our hands in both of the cookie jars. Honestly, truly. I think if the Arizona Cardinals do get somebody in free agency, like let's say, for example, Colt McCoy, because I think he still has one more year with the Arizona Cardinals. If they don't go anybody in free agency and they want to roll with Colt McCoy, then we have to draft somebody. If Colt McCoy doesn't come back, get somebody in free agency. And on top of that, get somebody in the draft as well. Because we've seen that a 7th round pick can actually work in the NFL. We've seen it, right? We've seen Brock Purdy do very, very good things, right? So I want to get a quarterback in this draft. I truly do. And I'm not talking about a 3rd rounder, a 2nd rounder. No, I'm talking about a late rounder that we can actually bring in to have an actual quarterback competition between that free agent quarterback and this rookie quarterback. Like that's what I want. I want to create a competition between quarterbacks to bridge while Kyler Murray comes back, right? That's what I want. So long answer. Hopefully that answered you, but appreciate you. Let me take a sip of this water real quick. Yeah, I think the Arizona Cardinals need to draft a quarterback, regardless if we don't go free agency or we do go free agency. I think we need to draft a quarterback. I think we need to. And I would take one in the 7th round. We don't have a 7th round. I'm sorry. I would take one in the 6th round or the 5th round. Is what I would do as a GM. If I was the GM, I would do that, truly. Well, here's the thing. Like, I see somebody in the chat saying draft Kyler's replacement. I mean, we're not gonna. If in your mind you're saying draft Kyler's replacement because you want us to use our 3rd overall to get a quarterback, I don't think that's gonna happen. Now, if there's rumors that come out later on that that's gonna happen, then we'll talk about that later, right? But as of right now, that 3rd overall pick in the NFL draft we have coming in this coming draft is either going to be Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, and I think we can automatically book it at this very moment. Now, if something dramatically happens, like we trade back, then obviously we're not going to get any of those 2 generational talents. But I don't think the Arizona Cardinals are going to go quarterback. I just don't see a world where that happens. Now, if they do, obviously they would be shocking the NFL world. They would be shocking everybody because that would be 3 quarterbacks drafted in the past 6 years. 3 quarterbacks drafted in the first round. Josh Rosen, Kyler Murray, and then the next person. And I don't see the Cardinals doing that. I truly don't, but we've seen crazier things happen from our fan base. Or sorry, not a fan base, from our organization. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I truly do want to address the trenches this year, though. I think the trenches are very, very, very important to address. I don't see the Cardinals going after a QB in the first round. Let's continue to talk here about the Arizona Cardinals and what's been going on here. So that's kind of my thought process. If somehow the Arizona Cardinals can get a Lou Anarumo, right, to be that leader of men, I think I would like that, right? Bring in a Lou Anarumo in terms of being our head coach, and then bring in an Eric Bieniemy as the offensive coordinator. That would be cool. Now, who's the defensive coordinator, right? I mean, that's kind of be a question out there. Maybe VJ can stay, because Vance Joseph did say that he also received an extension from the Arizona Cardinals. Now, it wasn't as big as Kimes and Cliff Kingsbury's, but he did get an extension. So our defensive coordinator can very well still be in the building, right, with Vance Joseph. So if we can get a Lou Anarumo, work with Vance Joseph, and then we could get an offensive coordinator and Eric Bieniemy, I think that would be really interesting. I think that would be very, very, very interesting for the Cardinals to do something like that. Because obviously Sean Payton didn't work out for us, right? We all know that right now. Sean Payton just didn't work out for us at all. Kafka is interesting. I see somebody in the chat said Kafka. He's interesting to me. I don't know if I'm going to be willing to do 100%, like, because he has interviewed with other people, right? I think he interviewed with 3 other teams. Mike Kafka from the Giants. He's interesting. He's very, very interesting. I just don't know if the Arizona Cardinals are going to go that route. But like I said before, like, regardless of who comes in, I'm going to support him, right? I'm going to support him to the best of my ability, and we're going to have to obviously give him the time to build what they can, right? So we'll see. I think Anarumo and Bieniemy is actually a cool combo too, right? I think that's an actual really good combo, if you ask me, because you get the kind of best of both worlds, right? Eric Bieniemy, who's worked with Patrick Mahomes, right? Now, Lou Anarumo didn't technically work with Joe Cool, right? Joe Burrow, he didn't technically work with them, but he was in the building, right? He was in the building. If they somehow go Brian Callahan worked with, Joe Burrow, so that would be kind of cool too. I like the idea of the Cincinnati Bengal assistants. I'm not going to lie to you. I like the idea of both of them. So even if we go Brian Callahan, he worked with Joe Burrow. That's cool, right? Lou Anarumo, that's cool. But I think the Arizona Cardinals can make a splash and go maybe Eric Bieniemy as defensive coordinator if he does decide to be available and leave that organization. Because let's be honest, most people that look at Eric Bieniemy, they don't trust him, right? His name hasn't been out there, and that's one of the weirdest things out there, that Eric Bieniemy hasn't been in contention to be a head coach. Last year he was. This year, it's like people just kind of went right over him. So I think that would be kind of cool. Somebody in the chat's asking, why would Peyton want to go to the Cards? Well, I mean, why wouldn't he want to go to the Cards? I mean, he went to the Broncos. Why wouldn't he want to go to the Cardinals, right? I mean, he went to the Broncos. Well, are they so much better than the Cardinals are? Now, granted, yes, they have Super Bowls to call their own. Yes, they do. But, I mean, they got Russell Wilson that's obviously he's declining, right? Or at least last year he's declining. He's regressing. Right now, the Cardinals are also regressing as well, right? Or at least Kyler Murray did not show his best. But, I mean, I feel like we're in the same situation. I mean, the Arizona Cardinals have a chance to get a top generational talent. So I don't believe in the thought of, why would he want to come to the Cardinals? Because if you think about it, it's one of 32 jobs in the world. And if you're going to get paid $20 to $25 million, why wouldn't you want it, right? It's a no-brainer. It's one job out of 32 jobs in the world. So that's my explanation on why he would want to come to the Cardinals, right? I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, let's continue to talk here. Yeah, I don't like that take. Well, why wouldn't he want to come to the Cardinals? What are you? Like, that's just crazy. Here's the thing, like most Cardinal fans, well, not most. I'm sorry. Let me take that back. There's Cardinal fans out there that want to be so right, so badly that they want to say things like, "Oh, well, I told you so, right? I told you he'll never come here." Okay, well, here's your cookie. Here's your golf clap. If that's what you want, okay, well, whatever. I was here trying to be in the front lines and try to get a Super Bowl winning head coach. Now it didn't happen. Okay, well, whatever, right? It is what it is. But I mean, whatever. It is what it is. Let's continue to talk here. Cardinals aren't winning soon. Too many on the roster. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, we know this from last year, though. Like that's the thing. Like there's nothing that we didn't know last year that we know this year, right? It's the same thing. It's the same thing, and we talked about it verbatim on this channel. We talked about it. We said that there's multiple holes on this, and there are so many people out there that are like, "Oh no, they're fine. We're fine. Like we're gonna be okay." We're not gonna be okay. We were built so top heavy as what we were built. One injury happened and it was just a domino effect. We didn't have any depth. And that's one thing that we were talking about. We suck at drafting. We didn't pick up anybody in free agency. It's the same problems that we had last year. Nothing's changed. It's the same thing. Let me get to this contribution. What's up, Seth? He says, "Hey, Mike, let's bring in Shane Steichen and Eric Bieniemy, or we can bring in a good coach. Except there's no brainer here. But I like Kyler Murray, like Kyler Murray's dog. Kyler Murray does seem like he has a pretty cool dog, right? I at least seen him maybe about once or twice in his pictures. But Shane Steichen is interesting to me if we did bring him in. And I know I said this last week where I'm like, well, I don't think the Arizona Cardinals are going to bring in any other names. Breaking news, we got 3 new names, right? We got Mike Kafka, we got Lou Anarumo, and then we got Brian Callahan, right? So I'm as shocked. I'm as shocked as a lot of Cardinal fans are because this Sean Payton thing seemed real. It seemed real. And obviously it's not, right? Obviously it's not. He ended up going to the Broncos. So we'll see what happens over there. Somebody in the chat says Kyler's dog is bigger than him. That's funny. Who's the center? That's a great question, my guy. That's a great question. Because Rodney Hudson completely robbed the Arizona Cardinals, and that's one thing that Rodney Hudson, completely different story, man. It's a completely different story. Here's the thing: like last year, we had a chance to get Tyler Linderbaum, right? And then we just didn't do it. This year, there is a center that I would love the Arizona Cardinals to go after, and his name is it like John? I'm gonna get his real name. Give me a second. 1 second. Let's see here. Let me get his. It's because he's got 3 names. It's like John Michael. Is that John Michael Schmidt? Right? Is that right? John Michael Schmidt. USC center. Let's see here. That's the guy that I would want the Arizona Cardinals to. No, I'm sorry, not USC. I apologize. Let me take a look here. Yeah, so John Michael Schmitz. There you go. I knew it was 3 names. That guy's probably seen to be as the best center in this draft. And he plays for Minnesota. So yeah, so that I feel like that would be kind of cool if the Arizona Cardinals would do something like that, right? To do that, or Weipler. Yeah, there's somebody on the chat that says Weipler. Yeah, that could. There's some centers out there that the Arizona Cardinals can possibly bring in the draft. It's just like we gotta make sure that these draft picks actually work out. So either John Michael Schmidt or Weipler. I feel like it would be really cool for the Arizona Cardinals to do something like that. And now we got all our picks, right? We got all our picks, so maybe we can drop them in the second round. Cornerback is still a big need because we don't know what's going to happen with Byron. Byron is going to be the Byron Murphy thing is starting to feel a little worrisome to me. I'm not going to lie to you, a little worrisome. Zach Allen is also another piece that we don't know what's going to happen, but I mean, we'll have to kind of wait and see how March kind of plays out. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. You like Eli Ricks? That's going to be the cornerback, right? Yeah. I mean, there's some really good cornerbacks in the beginning and the middle rounds too. So we can see if we can snag some. Let's see here. Bidwell and Monty have named Steve Keim the head coach, giving him a 10-year contract. Bruh. Well, here we are, right? Here we are. Yeah, D'Amico Ryan's definitely going to the Texans for sure. And then obviously we know that Sean Payton is going to the Broncos. What's up, BBH? What's up, brother? Thanks for the super chat. He says this Super Bowl watch party at your place, dude. Well, I'm going to be doing. I am going to be doing a Super Bowl thing. I don't think I'm going to be doing anything on here though. I don't think I'm going to be doing anything on YouTube though. I think I'm just going to want to watch some chicken wings, eat some pizza, chug some beers, and just kind of have a good day in the Super Bowl. I'm just gonna try not to think about the Cardinals for a couple of days because. What's up, Andrew? Appreciate this contribution. He says vet QBs Geno and Wentz. I heard that Geno Smith is going to stay with the Seahawks. Now, it's not 100% sure, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, we can't get Geno because this said this, but there was a report that came out that said that Geno wants to do his best to stay with the Seahawks, but we'll see, right? Money talks, right? Money talks. So we'll see. I'm not on 100% on board with Geno, but Wentz is interesting. But also Baker Mayfield. I love the idea of Baker Mayfield coming in here to have Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield on the same team. I feel like that would be kind of cool if the Rams don't decide to bring him back. I know somebody mentioned Jimmy Garoppolo. The thing with Jimmy Garoppolo is that I think he's going to want to go into a team that he's going to be a starter. Now we're talking about Jimmy Garoppolo for Pete's sake. Like, this is where we're at, Cardinal fans. Like, oh, this is so frustrating. This is where we're at, Cardinal fans. We're even talking about Jimmy Garoppolo as a potential quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals next year. Oh, this is so bad. But yeah, I mean, Baker Mayfield, Jimmy Garoppolo as a bridge. I don't think Jimmy is plausible because I think he does want to go to getting a starting gig though. But yeah, well, I mean, the good thing I see you down there. He says Jimmy Garoppolo is injury prone. The good thing is that we only need him for like 8 games. We don't need him for the whole season, right? Hopefully, when Kyler does come back, we don't have to worry about it. But oh my God, it's one of those days, y'all. It's one of those days. This is how bad it is. I'm talking about Jimmy Garoppolo's potential. Oh, this is bad, man. This is really, really bad. So we talked a lot today, right? We had a lot of what we talked about today. Obviously, Sean Payton and the D'Amico Ryans breaking news that dropped today. We talked about the interviews that are going to be taking place. Today, there was an interview from Mike Kafka, offensive coordinator from the Giants. And then we got 2 more interviews. I believe there was an interview on Wednesday and one on Thursday. I just forgot the order, if it's Lou Anarumo and then Brian Callahan or Brian Callahan and Lou Anarumo. But within these next couple days, we are going to be getting interviews with them, which are the assistants of the Bengals. So, you already kind of know who I kind of want, right? But I mean, I'm not really getting what I want so far this year. I think Lou Anarumo and maybe pairing him with an Eric Bieniemy might kind of bring some excitement, right? A little bit of an excitement going into this offseason for the Arizona Cardinal fans. But I mean, I think that would be kind of cool. What's up, BBH? Appreciate the contribution. He says, also, by the way, became an uncle yesterday. Congrats, man. Congratulations. He says, welcome my baby nephew, Nico Mendes, but also we should focus cornerback, DL, offensive line and wide receiver, and possibly running back. Yeah, congratulations, man. That's absolutely really, really amazing. Yeah, I was trying to be an uncle before I became a dad. That didn't happen, right? I became a dad before I became an uncle, but congratulations. That's actually really huge. Hopefully you can raise him to be an Arizona Cardinal fan and just have the complete disappointment every year in and year out. But congrats, man. Honestly, congrats. That's really cool. But I agree, right? The cornerback, defensive line, offensive line, and if Hop does leave us, wide receiver, and then running back. Because I love James Conner. Trust me, I like James Conner a lot. It's just I don't think he's going to give us that level of juice that we're seeing that we saw last year, right? I know he did a really good job this year as well. It's that injuries are kind of starting to pile up, but I would love for us to maybe getting a big running back, maybe in the 4th round, maybe something like that, maybe in the mid-round picks, getting a running back. I think it would be pretty cool. I ended up doing a mock draft. I did 2 mock drafts. I believe it was not this last Sunday. It was a couple weeks back, but If you guys want to see, I ended up doing a few mock drafts, which I felt like I did a good job. Of course, there was people out there, they're like, well, I should have done this, you should have done this. But I'm like, okay, cool. But I feel like I addressed a lot of the needs for the Arizona Cardinals, but also trying to do our best to do like best player available at the same time. So definitely check those out. I believe they're called like Rebuilding the Arizona Cardinals. There was that one, and there was another one called the 7-round mock draft. And I'm like, this. So check them out. I think I did a really good job, if I might say so myself. What's up, State 48 Entertainment? Appreciate you for being here. He says, all honesty, Mike, we need to stock up picks. We need too much work on this team. And if we get a first, he will be do a contract before we are ready. That's fair. No, that's fair. So are you saying you want to trade out of the first round pick, or you want to trade back within the first round? I guess that's my question to you, because I know that the whole idea of trading back has been floated around. It's just, to me, like Will Anderson and Jalen Carter, I feel like they're shoo-in. Like they remind me of Nick Bosa and Quinn Williams. Remember when we had that whole debacle, right? When we had that big choice and we didn't get either of them, right? We didn't get either of those two players. We got Kyler Murray instead. You remember that? Yeah, that's what it kind of reminds me, right? With Jalen Carter being Quentin Williams, and he's actually coming into his own. He actually is coming into his own. Now, Nick Bosa is obviously playing lights out with that whole defensive line. So that's what it kind of reminds me of with Will Anderson and Jalen Carter. The year that we could have had the option to pick either or, because we're sitting number one overall and we just couldn't, do it. That's what it reminds me of. What's up, Aries? Appreciate the super chat. He says, you think Bieniemy will leave Kansas City for another OC job? Yes, there was a report that came out, and I believe it was over the weekend, saying that there is a strong possibility that we might see Eric Bieniemy move off of the Kansas City Chiefs. And the biggest reason why is because when people look at Eric Bieniemy, all they see is Andy Reid, and all they see is Patrick Mahomes. So he gets overlooked a lot. So there was a real report that came out that said we might see Eric Bieniemy trying to move on to a different team for that very reason. Nobody's considering him to be a head coach because they see Patrick Mahomes and they see Andy Reid, and they're like, oh no, right? He's not going to do anything. He's just riding the coattail. So it could be a real possibility that Eric Bieniemy becomes available. And if we can get him as OC, I think that would be really, really cool. What's up, Gabe G? Became a channel member. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so very much for joining the squad. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it. Yeah. So, no, yeah, I guess that's my question too. Hopefully State 48 Entertainment went ahead and replied back, but I don't think I see it. But yeah, are you saying trading away from like our first round in general, or are you saying just trade back and accumulate picks? Because yeah, that it's so hard to pass up. Honestly, it's so hard to pass up on Jalen Carter or Will Anderson. Trust me when I say that, y'all. Trust me. Like, and it's so hard to these drafts. Like, they're not certain, right? They're not 100%, right? Like, we know now that Hassan Reddick, being as great as he is now, right? We as Cardinal fans, we as a Cardinal organization need to stop trying to get a player and mold him to what we want him to be, right? We need to stop that. The Arizona Cardinals need to use this player to the best of their ability. Hassan Reddick is an edge rusher. And he should be used as such. And we try to make him an inside linebacker just like we did to Dayon Buchanan, and it just didn't work out. So we need to stop doing that. So it's really hard to get two players coming into the draft and saying, ooh, the possibility of them busting is really, really low. So sometimes you need to go for those shoe-in people, right? And that's Will Anderson and Jalen Carter. Now, can they be busts? Yes, they can be busts, right? They definitely can. But it's a lower possibility, right? It's a lower possibility for them to be busts. They still can be busts, but it's lower. What's up, Caleb? Coming in with the $10 bomb. What's up, brother? Thanks you so much for the contribution. He says, I was on the Payton train, but Brian Callahan changed my mind. He's an early Eric Bieniemy. Callahan worked with with Manning, Stafford, Carr, and Burrow. Okay. Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look at Brian Callahan. He's very young, right? Like, that's one thing that we'll definitely get. He's very young. And that doesn't mean anything, though, right? We've seen Sean McVay really turn it around. We've seen Zach Taylor really turn around the Cincinnati Bengals as well. So it doesn't mean anything, right? It doesn't. But what Brian Callahan Brian Callahan has done for his career. He started his career in terms of like coaching career in 2010, right? With the Denver Broncos, he was a coaching assistant in 2010, and then 2011 to 2012, offensive quality coach. And then he moved on to staying with the Denver Broncos. He was the offensive assistant 2013 to 2015, and then spent some time with the Detroit Lions 2016 to 2017 as a quarterback coach. Spent some time with the Raiders as a quarterback coach in 2018, and then spent his chunk majority of time, or at least his most recent time, 2019 to present, with the Cincinnati Bengals as the offensive coordinator. So yeah, I think honestly, that's why I'm saying like I'm very intrigued with these Cincinnati assistants, whether it's Brian Callahan or Lou Anarumo. I'm very intrigued with both of them. Now, Mike Kafka is also a possibility that's been thrown out there, right? It's also a possibility. But honestly, I like the idea of either of those two. Now, both of them are going to be people that have not been a head coach before. I mean, it's just kind of how the way it fell, right? The only people that we have on the list is Brian Flores and Vance Joseph that has had head coaching experience. But I mean, we might be surprised, right? Brian Callahan could be that guy for us, or Lou Anarumo. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let me take a look to see if my guy State 48 came back here with the response. I don't think he did though. No, I don't see any. Yeah, so going back to that, Brian Callahan would be interesting for sure. But going back to the draft picks, I don't know. You're going to have to give me a lot of draft picks to get me out of that third overall spot. Like, you're going to have to do that to get me out of that third overall spot, if I was the GM anyways. So I hope they don't. I hope they don't move off of that spot, because I think the Arizona Cardinals can do some damage with that third overall spot with those two players. One of those two players. What's up, Vinny? He says, my season ticket's right on the decision for the coach. Can't keep supporting this dysfunctional organization. Ah, man. Well, you're not alone, brother. You're not alone. I mean, I've heard a lot of Cardinal fans that have that same mindset. They have this exact same mindset, and I truly, truly, truly don't blame you guys. I don't blame you. You know how insane the season tickets would have sold? You know how insane the season tickets would have sold if the Arizona Cardinals were going to, hire a Sean Payton? It would be going through the roof. Through the roof, ladies and gentlemen. If the Cardinals announced that Sean Payton was the next head coach, their season tickets would be going through the roof right now. It probably would be very, very hard to get season tickets because people already got them, right? People already swooped them up. So, but it's just not the way the Cardinals went. We're going to be going through another, most likely a guy that hasn't had experience. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's continue here with the chats. Oh, here we go. I got okay, so there you go. I got State 48 coming back. Appreciate you. Thanks so much. He says, whatever gets us capital, Mike. Oh, that's fair. Okay. I mean, that's fair. It's just, it's so hard. Like, it's so hard for me to say, don't get those two players, either of those two players, right? It's so hard. I don't know. That's tough. I appreciate the contribution, though, man. I truly do. What's up, RB? He says, now stadium will be half empty. Dude, honestly, I've been to the stadium a lot this year. I think a total of 5 times. I think I went to 5 games just because a lot of the season tickets that I had, I ended up giving away to the channel members within the channel here. I think I gave up away like 3 or 4 games. 3 or 4 games I think I gave away, including the preseason game. But I went to a lot of these games here, and I'm not lying to you, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of empty seats. There is a lot of empty seats in that State Farm Stadium. So I know Michael Bidwell came out and said that this was something that needed to happen, right? And it's true. Like, literally, so many Cardinal fans were turned off. So many Cardinal fans were turned off by the season. And it's not funny, but like, if we only did this earlier, right? If we somehow did this earlier, where there's a lot of Cardinal fans, and I'm not going to name any names, and that's not one thing that I'm going to do here, right? But I was trying to get rid of Cliff Kingsbury after year 2. I was trying to get rid of Cliff Kingsbury after year 2, right? But the biggest thing that people had was that progression happened, right? Progression kept happening, and that's what kept him there. But imagine if after the Arizona Cardinals, after they got freaking whipped in that wild card spot, and if the Arizona Cardinals moved off of Cliff, we could have gotten Brian Daboll, right? We could have gotten Brian Daboll, the coach for the New York Giants that is completely turning around Daniel Jones's career. completely turning around Daniel Jones's career. So it's like, you got to take advantage of the opportunity when these things happen, right? So it's just one of those things where Cardinal fans, I know we're all used to it. We shouldn't be used to it, but it's almost kind of like we're used to the hurt. we accept the hurt, I guess. Let's read a few more comments here, and then we'll kind of find our way out. I appreciate you guys for walking with me, by the way. I think when we started this live stream, we had like 96 people, so appreciate you guys for coming through. If you guys haven't already, definitely do me a huge favor. Smack the like button on this video and subscribe. If you're trying to find a spot, right, this is the best community here to go ahead and join. Definitely subscribe it up. We're on the road to 12K. Let's keep on reading with the chat here. What's up, Steve? Been a season ticket holder since '88. Painful doesn't begin to describe it. That's fair, brother. That's honestly fair. And honestly, that's great. That's honestly something. That's honestly amazing. 88. That's great. Good for you, dude. Good for you. Let's see here. What's up, brother Caleb, with the super chat? He says, I'll take a playoff experienced head coach at facts. Factual. Yeah, let me read this again because I sucked at reading. I'll take a playoff experience coordinator at head coach than a college coach, Kingsbury. I agree, dude. 100% agree. And Brian Callahan and Lou Anarumo seem very interesting, right? Now, Ajiro Viro at one point seemed very interesting. I think that kind of tailed off. Aaron Glenn, his name kind of popped up, but I don't think there's anything real in that. Jonathan Gannon, which is the defensive coordinator for the Eagles, there's some interest there, but like I don't think it's really going to go very far. But yeah, Lou Anarumo and Brian Callahan, those two assistants from the Cincinnati Bengals, I think they're very, very a real possibility. I think a very, very real possibility. So we'll see though. We'll see how it goes. Somebody in the chat says Arizona are the new Detroit Lions. They don't even. I'm not gonna say you're wrong. Well, no, I mean the Detroit Lions are doing better. So are you talking about the new Detroit Lions? You're talking about history of the Detroit Lions. You let me know there, man. You let me know there. So we'll see, right? We'll see. Somebody says Shane Steichen or bust. Well, we got to bring Shane Steichen in, right? I think that's one of the most important things. You got to bring Shane Steichen in, and maybe of a possibility of him, contending as an Arizona Cardinal head coach. But as of right now, it doesn't seem like there's interest. Doesn't seem like there's interest. So I mean, we'll see. We will see what happens. As of right now, we are sitting in the last day of January. Right now, we're sitting in the last day of January. And I know next year we said that, or at least I said that we were going to have our head coach by the end of last week. Didn't happen. I was wrong. So maybe this week, right? By the end of this week, we'll probably hear about it. I know there's 2 interviews coming our way, Lou Anarumo as well as Brian Callahan coming our way in terms of interviews. So maybe by Friday, they'll make up a decision. I feel like that would be a really cool time to make a decision because as of right now, y'all, I think we're all tired of waiting. I think most Cardinal fans, we're just tired of waiting. We want to hear the next name and we want to be excited, right? We want to be excited about the next head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. And as of right now, it's TBD, right? It's TBD at this very moment. So we'll see. Yeah, the Detroit Lions are doing better than we think. So they're definitely doing better than we are. So I would take the Cardinals are going to be the new Detroit Lions in a heartbeat. I would definitely take that for sure. We got our own terrible history here. That's funny. All right, y'all. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. This has been an absolute pleasure speaking to everybody here. We have made it over to the hour mark. Thank you so very much for the new channel members that joined today. Thank you so very much for all the people that were, super chatting in and, contributing into, obviously making this channel more and more and more better. Thank you everybody for smacking the like button. Thank you for the new subscribers that's joined the community. Thank you everybody for just being true to Arizona Cardinal fandom, right? I guess that's the best thing that I can say at this very moment. So thank you so very much. Oh, here we go. We got one more super chat. We got one more contribution coming in here. He says, I understand, Bud, but I think the future is now. I respect that, brother. I respect that, man. Thank you so very much, everybody. I honestly do appreciate every single one of you, every 235 people in here right now. Thank you so very much from the bottom of my heart for being in here rocking with me. Again, this video is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code AZSF to get your deposit match up to $100. See if you can win some money on Underdog Fantasy. It is an app that you can go ahead and download. Appreciate you guys for tuning in as always. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, go Cards.